three little pigs in Snow White's palace. Thatch, Bow, and Silas stood before the massive golden gates of a palace that looked like it was carved from a single giant pearl. Their own houses were being repaired after a very windy day, and the kind princess had invited them to stay. Thatch, who usually built with straw, was busy adjusting his backpack and looking at the glittering towers. Bow, the middle brother, who liked building with sticks, stared up at the high walls in total amazement. The palace was the most beautiful place they had ever seen, surrounded by a forest that sparkled with morning dew. Suddenly, the heavy gates creaked open, and Snow White walked down the marble steps to greet her new guests. She wore a dress of bright yellow and deep blue that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Silas, the oldest and wisest of the three pigs, stepped forward politely. He was carrying a small bundle of tools, just in case anything in the palace needed fixing. Snow White smiled warmly, her eyes sparkling with kindness. She told them that her home was their home, and she led Silas inside toward the grand entrance hall, which smelled like fresh flowers and sweet honey. Inside, the palace was even more wonderful than the outside. Thatch and Bow quickly discovered the royal dining room, where a long table was covered in every treat imaginable. There were bowls of bright red cherries, platters of golden honey cakes, and pitchers of cold milk. Thatch climbed onto a velvet chair that was much softer than his usual straw bed. Bow reached for a shiny red apple, admiring how it caught the light from the crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. They felt like kings in a fairy tale. While his brothers were busy snacking, Silas followed Snow White into a quiet room hidden behind a heavy velvet curtain. In the center of the room was a mirror with a frame made of swirling gold and precious gems. Snow White explained that this was a magic mirror that could see anywhere in the kingdom. Silas looked into the glass, seeing his own reflection and the beautiful room behind him. He felt very small in such a big magical place, but Snow White patted his shoulder and told him that even the smallest visitors were important. Suddenly, the mirror began to glow with a soft purple light. A face appeared in the glass and spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "Who is the hungriest guest in the palace today?" it asked. Thatch had wandered into the room just in time to hear it. He jumped back in surprise, his curly tail twitching. Silas laughed and told the mirror that his brother Thatch could probably eat the whole kitchen if he was allowed. The mirror chuckled, a sound like rolling thunder, and began to tell them funny stories about the 7 dwarfs and their adventures in the forest. Later that afternoon, Snow White looked at a very long list of chores. "The 7 dwarfs are coming home from the mine soon," she told Bow, "and I still have to fold all their laundry." Bow, who was always happy to help, offered to join her. They went to the laundry room, where 7 baskets were overflowing with tiny green tunics, yellow hats, and striped socks. Snow White showed Bow how to fold the clothes neatly, so they would fit into the small wooden chests the dwarfs used. Thatch heard the fun and came to help, but folding clothes was much harder than it looked for a little pig. He and Bow tried to fold a long purple scarf but they ended up getting tangled in the soft wool. Thatch tripped over a pile of socks and fell right into a basket of fluffy white towels. Bao started to giggle, and soon both brothers were laughing so hard they couldn't stand up. The laundry room looked like a colorful mountain of clothes had exploded, but they were having a wonderful time. Silas and Snow White walked in and saw the mess. Silas knew they needed a better plan if they wanted to finish before the sun went down. We should organize them by color, Silas suggested, using his building skills to create a system. He and Snow White began to sort the piles into neat stacks. Silas was very good at making sure everything was straight and tidy, just like when he laid bricks for his house. Snow White hummed a happy tune as they worked together, turning the messy room into a perfectly organized space. To thank the pigs for their help, Snow White took them out to the palace gardens. In one corner of the yard, the trees were covered in magical shimmering snow that never melted. Thatch and Bow immediately started a friendly snowball fight. They chased each other around the bushes, their pink hooves leaving little prints in the soft white powder. Thatch hid behind a rose bush and launched a snowball that landed right on Bow's nose, making them both fall over into the sparkling snow with joy. As the stars began to twinkle over the palace towers, Silas and Snow White sat on the balcony. The air was cool and smelled of pine trees. "You and your brothers have made the palace much livelier," Snow White said with a smile. Silas looked at his brothers, who were finally tired out from their big day. He realized that a palace was a wonderful place, but it was the friends you shared it with that made it feel like a home. He let out a long yawn and followed the princess inside to dream of more adventures.